Okay, so today we're going to get more practice from what we did yesterday. That was graphing in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. And the m value is your slope or your rise over run, and the b is your y-intercept. Okay, so we're going to come over here to this example, and I'm going to identify my slope, which I'm going to call my m, my y-intercept, and then I'm going to draw a sketch. So my slope is always my coefficient of x. I want you to label that. It's your coefficient of x. Coefficient means the number in front of x. So the number in front of x here is 3/5. So I'm going to write m equals 3/5. My y-intercept is -1. And my y-intercept, I'm always going to set it up. In my y-intercept, my x is always 0. So now I have -1. The other thing is, I'm going to draw myself a little Mr. Slope Man on this side so I can remember what a positive line looks like. This is positive, this is negative, this is undefined, and this would be a 0 slope. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a different pen. This is a positive slope, so this line should look like this. If I'm following my instructions from yesterday, I have found my slope, my point, and my sketch, and the next thing I do is graph my point. So my y-intercept is 0, -1. I know that that's on the y-axis, so I'm going to go to 0, -1, and I'm going to put a dot. The next thing I do is I look at my sketch, and slope is rise over run. So I'm going to draw the rise over run, and I know 3 is rise and 5 is run. So that's how I get to my next point. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? I also know that I could go backwards and do that same thing. So this side would be 3 and 5. So that means I go down 3 and to the right 5. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it should make a perfect line. Okay? It matches my sketch. I am done. If you need to pause the video to do this, pause it. Do not talk to anybody. Pause it, copy it, and let's move on. Okay, I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to do number 10. Okay, so the first thing we do is we find our slope, which is our m value. And so it's the coefficient of x, the number in front of x. So I look, it's 3. Now the thing is, we want a slope written as a rise over run. Notice here, yesterday we wrote turn it into a fraction. If you have a whole number by itself, you can always put it over 1 because 3 divided by 1 still equals 3. So that's going to help us with graphing. My y-intercept, I know that my x value is 0, and then I look here. My y-intercept is my b value, which is -2. And then this is a positive slope, so I'm going to draw a positive. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to graph my point, 0, -2. I know that I should have a rise and a run. 3 is the rise, 1 is the run, or I can think about it this way, 1 and 3. So if I go this way, it's up 3 and to the right 1. So I start at my point and I go 1, 2, 3, 1. And I can keep going, 1, 2, 3, 1. I could also go backwards, go down 3 and to the left 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, drawing my point and my line, put arrows on the end. Okay, so now I have graphed this. You can pause the video and catch up. At this point, at most, all of this should have taken you 7 minutes. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more. So I want you to see this x equals 5. This is a funny little line. Notice that y is not alone. We have x equals 5. Well, that's where we're gonna add something to Mr. Slope Man. If you have a straight up and down line, this is actually an x equals line. It's always gonna say x equals a number. And if you have this mouth, it's gonna be y equals a number. So this is something we'll memorize and use on the STAR test. So I look at this and I'm like, hey, this isn't normal. My slope and my y-intercept, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna look over here at Mr. Slope Man, and I know that this is an x equals line. And so I'm like, oh, I need to draw a straight up and down line, and it's supposed to go through 5. So I go right here at 5 on the x equals, and I'm gonna draw a straight up and down line. The next thing is my slope. I can look here. On Mr. Slopeman's no, there's a U because my slope is undefined. I'll just write UND. And as for my y-intercept, look, it never crosses the y-axis. There is none. Go ahead and copy that down. You can pause the video if you need to. I'm going to do one more. Uh-oh, we have another funky one. We have y equals 3. There's no x, y equals 3, so I'm going to look at Mr. Slopeman. When I have y equals a number, it's a straight across line. Okay, so I know it needs to look like this, and it's supposed to go through 3 on the y-axis. So I find 3, it's right here, and I'm going to draw my line. When I think about my slope, it's flat, there's 0 steepness, and that's why the slope is 0. So my slope is 0. And then if I think about my y-intercept, well, that's where I'm crossing the y-axis here at 0, 3. So at this point, this video is 6 minutes long. All of this together should take you 10 minutes, no longer. Pause the video if you need to copy this down. And you're gonna move to the back. So on the back, you are doing the exact same thing, okay? You are writing your slope right here. B is your y-intercept, and then you're gonna draw your sketch, okay? So let's recopy Mr. Slopeman so you have him. This is the positive eye. This is the negative eye. This is the nose, which is undefined. Flat mouth is a slope of 0. This is an x equals line, and this is a y equals line. So you're going to go ahead and get started right away. The first thing you do is you find your slope. It's 1/2. Your y-intercept is 0, -6. Because this is a positive line, it starts here. Start by graphing your point, and then use your rise over run to get to the next point. We'll be coming around and checking your work. Go ahead and get started.